Hey guys, Megan with Unstoppable. I wanted to come on here really quick this morning and do a video about perspective and different angles of perspective on what somebody's going through. It kind of hit me this morning when I was getting ready, and I went back to thinking about when I used to work catastrophe call centers sometimes when I worked in insurance field. And one of the biggest ones that we worked, of course, everybody remembers the horrific Hurricane Katrina that came in and just disrupted so many people's lives. So the perspectives that I'm going to tell you about today, one would be from my perspective as a claim handler on the receiving end of multiple calls, multiple claims coming in from our insureds at the time. The second one is going to be from a customer that was calling in with an automobile claim, and the third one's going to be from someone that is calling in for a house claim that I took as well. Okay, so there's three perspectives I want to share with you today, and it's going to link back to how life is and how we see life and how we handle people and understanding people and what they're going through. That way you can be more open to being accepting and loving to somebody when they give you a certain attitude or a certain way. So first off, we'll start with me as the claim handler, okay? I'm sitting there, I'm taking multiple calls. At first, I'm like, oh my goodness, these people's worlds are wrecked. This is crazy. I can't believe they're going through it. You're in there with them, in the trenches, trying to get this stuff filed, trying to get it handled. And then you do so many, get day 4, day 5 comes around, and you're working from 7 to 7, sometimes days longer than that, trying to help these people, that you forget, you disconnect a little bit. And you may not be able to tell it with the customer, but you start feeling a little bit of disconnection from what you're doing. So luckily, I learned this from the person that was leading the call center. They tell you that that's completely normal, because I'm a very empathetic person. I'm a very good human, and I hate to see people hurting and going through stuff. So I was in the prime position, a prime candidate to be in that field helping those people. I was empathetic, I could build rapport, I could do all that. However, day 4 or 5 of being tired, being human, hearing the same stories, and some of them were gut-wrenching, and it would bring you right back to reality, like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful, I want to help these people as much as I can. You still disconnect. So what we would do in that environment, we would plug into the news on our break. We would have the news on the screen as we're talking to these customers. We would send each other emails of footages that our claim handlers or our catastrophe team was out there taking of what these people were going through to ground us and remind us the purpose and cause of who we're helping. Okay, so sometimes in life, from my perspective, let's say your life has got you in a claim handler perspective, right? And you're helping a bunch of people, you're helping your family, you're doing this, you're doing that. Don't forget to pour into yourself, kind of see what's going on, remind yourself of the purpose, remind yourself of why you started, remind yourself of the cause, and to also take that rest as you need it. Because if I didn't go home and rest from 7 to 7, I would not be able to pour into these people and help them, right? But also, if I didn't remind myself of what these people were going through, I would lose my empathy a little bit. I would lose my tone a little bit. I would lose my ability to help them to the best of my ability. So that's why it's important for us to kind of remind ourselves of why we started. Remind ourselves of what these people are going through. Put yourself in other people's shoes. So that's perspective 1. Perspective 2 is going to be, I was on the phone with one of the insureds that just lost their entire house. The storm came in, a huge tree fell on their house, lost their entire house. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm getting the details of the claim. And he's like, you know what though? I'm so thankful, because my family and me were all sitting around the table playing board games. They didn't live right on the coast, so they were out in the evacuation route, but the wind was so strong and it was so saturated, the ground, that tree fell on them. He said, then we heard this big old thud or cracking, and then the tree fell. He said it barely missed us. We're just so thankful to be here. We're just so thankful to be alive. And there's so many people that I talked to that lost everything that said that. So what could have been a really terrible thing, and I'm sure he's stressed out, I'm sure he was stressed out at the time, had a bunch of stuff going through, he was just thankful for his family's alive, because that was what was most important. It reminded him of his perspective. Now let's go to our third example. No joke, Mr. Smiley. Mr. Smiley calls in with his vehicle, and believe I can remember correctly, it's a Chevy Malibu, and he is very upset, very irate. He wants a rental. Of course, we're out of rentals. He wants the replacement of his vehicle. Of course, we've got to get a claim handler to get past the trees, to get down there to him. He wants it done now. I had just got off the phone with a family that lost everything, almost lost their life, that was so thankful. And now I'm dealing with a customer like Mr. Smiley that is very, very upset. Now, does he have a right to be upset 100%? Does he realize that we're not his only customer? Probably not, because he's dealing with his pain in a different way. So I could do a perspective from Mr. Smiley to say maybe he should be thankful and look at things a different perspective, but I'm doing a perspective at me looking in at him and helping him, okay? So I go to help him, and I'm not going to lie. This is like day 7, okay? I was frustrated, but I had to pull myself back. Even in the time that I've grown a lot in my customer service realm, I've grown a lot in my personal development realm, and now I could really, really help him and see on more than just a claim level. But even then, I knew this man obviously is distraught. And people handle things differently. And I can choose to be offended. I can choose to take it personal. I can choose to be like, dude, you don't even understand. I've been helping these people that have lost everything. I've been helping people that have lost family members. And you're upset over a Malibu? Come on. It's a good car, but we can replace this. You're alive. That's what you want to say. You want to shake them. But you can't do that at the time. They need empathy. They need you to hear them. They have a true concern. So I sat there and I listened to him. And I said, okay. I said, here's what we can do. I understand you're frustrated. I understand you're upset, but I'm going to get an adjuster out to you. We're going to get this done, and we're going to try to get you a rental as soon as possible. All he wanted was communication. He didn't like the outcome because he still didn't get the immediate need, but he knew the steps that I was going to take to follow up with him to make sure that happened along the way. So, with that being said, it's very important when you're dealing with people like your Mr. Smileys in the world that you do need to communicate. You do need to try to make them see the reality, but you also need to make them see their reality. Okay? Why was he so upset? All I thought personally was, look, dude, you're just upset over your vehicle, and there's people that have lost lives and homes here. Okay? But what if Mr. Smiley had just turned in a home claim? He may have lost somebody. I don't know. Because you turn in home and vehicle separately. I don't know. What if Mr. Smiley, that was his only vehicle that he saved years and years and years for, and this storm just took it out, and he didn't know what he was going to do. He planned all these years around this vehicle. What if Mr. Smiley had to be at the job to take care of his family, and that was his only way to get there? When you start looking at things like that, you start seeing people's story at a deeper level. You don't just assume and get frustrated with them. You go into their life, you go into their story, and you can help them and relate to them on a different level. So in life today, I know that was an example of a past experience that I have, but it can be used in life every day. Who is your Mr. Smiley? Who is the ones that are extremely grateful? Who are you having to reconnect with and kind of step back and be like, okay, why did I start? Why did I see value in these people? Why? Do those lists today and then go from there. And I promise you're going to see people at a different angle. You're going to have more patience, and you're going to be able to grow on a more developed professional level as well. You guys have a great day, and I'll have some more content for you soon.